And we're live.
Sorry, Harry, did you want to say something?
No, that's it. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name's Harry Longyear. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Bluestream. Thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to pass it over to Andrew to introduce himself as well, and Stefan.
Yes, I'm Andrew Douglas. I'm a sales manager at Bluestream Software.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Stefan Johnson, Director of Technology Development at JANA Inc.
Excellent stuff. So we'll kick off now. I know there's still some people joining. I can see them coming into the webinar. That's fantastic. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today, as Harry said. And today we're dealing with a fairly specialized area, and that's transforming parts information in the digital age and some of the challenges and opportunities that this affords. We're going to actually show a Bluestream solution today that we feel is not only very powerful, but is also very cost effective. So if we go on to the next slide, Harry. We've introduced ourselves. It's going to be myself that's providing an intro to this webinar, and then Stefan that's actually going to take us through the demo. So without much further, so that we can get into the demo, let's jump into the first slide, please, Harry. So I thought it was good just to set off what's going on in the current state of the market, because then we can see why solutions like this are becoming increasingly popular and increasingly considered by organizations. Not least, and we're going to mention this in the notes subsequently, not least is the fact of AI and the fact that this approach that we're going to show you really enables you to be AI ready, because of the structure that it provides between your documentation, your parts information, the images associated. So subsequent AI activities can really take advantage of that as well. But in the current state of the market, the two areas, documentation and parts information, have really been kept separate, and they're structured very separately. The problem with this is that many clients, many manufacturers are using unstructured formats such as FrameMaker to develop their content, and that doesn't lend itself to basically being merged between the documentation and the parts information. So what we're going to show you today is a structured format, in this case DITA, that is going to be utilized to bring these two separate pieces of information together in an automated fashion. Once you get these into a single output, then you get a lot of benefits that we're going to show you again today. And one of the keys from this is really the updates from your PLM and customized solutions. If you don't do this in an automated fashion, then you've got these two information centers that become disjointed. And by aligning these, you get a lot of benefits. So it's not, if you're an organization that's facing this challenge, you'll no doubt have recognized the pain that you go through by utilizing a solution that's basically disjointed and has these two separate pieces of information. And there can be all sorts of areas that this hits. So on to the next slide, please, Harry. So in overcoming these issues that are created by the disjointed systems, a modern approach in this, as we stated here, utilizes structured content to unify these assets and automate the update of them. And that's very important as well. We're not just unifying them, but then subsequent updates, which can be fairly complex. You know, if you're dealing with thousands of products and thousands of variations of these products and international markets, then the updating of this product information, these product images that are aligned with the documentation and provide insight to support engineers and clients that are utilizing your systems. By doing this, you really give the following benefits that we've highlighted here. Custom documentation can be easily created. So what do we mean by that? Well, you might have a new variation, you might have a new version. Your documentation and your parts information, your images can all really be combined into a single output, which is very powerful. Identifying parts via hot link tables and images. So what this means is that you can really give a nice flow. Once you put this in a digital environment, you can put your table information, your parts information, and you can have the buttons within the image linked to those tables, so that when you go through the table, it actually identifies the part that's shown in the image, which if you get into more complex product lines, this can be really beneficial as well. You're integrating, one of the kind of end goals of this, if you so desire, is that once you bring this PLM information into this type of environment, then you can also associate it with e-commerce. And that allows for ease of ordering, identifying, which can be an issue for support engineers, etc., that are going out replacing parts, identifying parts and enabling the reordering of those parts via a solution such as this. So with that being said, Stefan's going to take us through the opportunity. The other thing to mention, which is why we've got JANA and Bluestream here today, a solution such as this really requires two pieces. One is a consulting piece to get the content in order and ready and structured correctly, which is an organization such as JANA, along with the technology. So Stefan's going to mention the process in this at a high level, just so that we get some insight into how a project of this nature is actually approached and delivered. On to you, Stefan.
Right. Thank you, Andrew. So just a little bit about background about JANA. We're a third-generation family-owned company. We've been around for, I think we're 53 years now. And because we have been in business for 50 years and we're in technical documentation, we kind of become experts at the different ebbs and flows when it comes to technical documentation. And because we have that expertise, we've lended that to our technical documentation services under consulting. What we'll do is we do a deep dive into your technical content. We'll figure out what your pain points are, what your business needs are, do a little bit of process mapping, and point you in the right direction. So that's how we got here. Anything else, Andrew, before I go into the actual demo?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now. We created a special folder in MI figure images. I just called it Apex Code. And then I imported the graphics in by simply right-clicking, importing to import to folder, selected my files, and then they loaded in. It was relatively quick. It was maybe 3 seconds or so. Point of emphasis is that you'd want to name your image based on the assembly number. That way, in the process in the background, it's going to marry up those parts catalogs with the associated image. Okay. That's all we have to do within Xdocs. Now we move on to configuring the MI module. I'm going to log in here real quick. And you guys can still see my screen. Is that accurate?
Yep, we can see your screen. Thank you. Appreciate you doing it. It might be difficult because you can't see what you're sharing.
Right.
There we go. No, we can definitely see it with the banner at the top. Appreciate it.
So now we're actually in the MI module. And this is the web interface where managers can create customers and sites for the BOM data. And so the first thing we're going to do is create a staging area for our data. And to do that, we have to go to Configure, Customers, and we're just going to create a new customer real quick. Let's call it Apex. There's other fields you can fill out, but for the purposes of this demo, we're going to keep it short and sweet. Once you have created a customer, you want to create a site, and you can think of a site as like a secondary level of data here. Give a short code and name. Helps if I scale the word correctly. All right, now we have a location for our content to be parked in or staged at. And did I hit save? Yes, I hit save. And now we want to go away. All right, now that we have that, we can select the site and click load site. The very first thing you see is that the site is actually loaded, the one that we created for this staging area. From here, we can configure the IPC view. And to do that, you go to IPC view. This is where you can add columns if you want to show the part number, the description. Maybe you want to show the quantity, maybe a torque field. You can add that here. But for the purposes of this demo, we will just do a default a default view. After that, we can go into importing the BOM data. And the way to do that is you go into BOM Manager, you select Create, and then you type in your product, give it a description if you want to, save. We click on that new product and we select Import. From here, you select your CSV file that contains your bill of material, and you select Import. Once it is selected, you can click Prepare Merge Report, and what this is going to do is going to take that data that you just imported, and it's going to marry it up with the data that you already have in your pool, and it's going to do some verification and validation of that data. Now that's done, merge is complete. Now we can move on to the next step, which is merging that BOM data. Oh, here we go. So there's no errors detected. Everything's good. Now we can go to, here we go. All right, so now we get to generate the IPC. While that's running, you can always check over here to see where it is in the process. It looks like it is almost done. Once it is complete, so what's going to happen is that merge data is going to go into the production pool, which is that single source of truth for all your parts data. It's going to also set the links from those parts to those corresponding illustrations. And then once that IPC is built, we can preview it, make any adjustments, and then generate the data content. So there it is. Now it's in there. So from this point, if there's, you get your chance to review the documentation. If you see any errors, you can click Edit, make your adjustments as necessary. But if you're comfortable with what you see, we can proceed. So I think at this point we're comfortable with it. Let's go ahead and generate the data. While that's running, we're going to jump over to our configuration tool so we can set that up. The first thing we want to do here is create a parking space for our new bill of material. Let's just call it defects. We're going to add the publication. Here's the one we just created. Point of emphasis here is that when we created the data content, the viewer here is mapped to that CMS, so you can select anything that you have. So we're going to select the apex one that we just created. We're going to give it a name. We're going to make sure we select IPC and click Save. Once we've created the publication, we're just going to add a language. Click Save. Once we're good with that, we select it and we click Update. Now what this process is going to do is going to take that data content, process it, format it, make sure there's no errors, things like that, and it's going to be produced over to the reader side. And then this is the side that the end users get to see. While that thing is still running, what we'll talk about is the actual interactive catalog itself. The MI module doesn't just create static documents. It creates a rich connected experience for both authors and users. So one of the things you'll see is that you have a document library. So all of your content can be in one location. It also supports multi languages. So if you want to select different languages, as long as you have those other language files, it'll support that as well. It has a full search capability, and you can search across the entire library, or you can search within an individual module. It also supports both PDF and HTML. So if you only have PDF documents, it supports that as well. Let's go back. Now it's finished running. Now our Apex model is now established in here. Let's open that up. From here, you can see that there's you have capabilities to filter the content. You can search specifically within this module. Like Andrew said earlier, the hotspots are interactive. So if you select an item, let's say here, let's go to 80. So 80, now that item is highlighted. It's also bidirectional. So if you select that item up here, it also highlights it to the table, which is a good thing. So these are 2D images. It also supports 3D modeling. You get to interact with the model itself. You can hide parts to navigate down to the parts that you want to see to focus on. What else? You also have the ability to connect to any type of e-commerce site. So if you have your parts hosted on Shopify, we can connect to that as well. So the result isn't just documentation. It's a living, searchable, multilingual experience that brings together engineering data, technical content, and service information all in one place. Are there any questions?
Great run through, Stefan. I know there's a couple of issues there at the start, so sorry about that, folks. But once we got going, I think that gave a really great insight into the system. I know there's a lot to take in there from the viewers as to how that system's working, but that was really from start to finish being shown there. Stefan was showing how you can set up a system like this and get it going. So there are a couple of questions that we've had in. Do you want to read those out, Harry?
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, a couple of questions. So it's a little bit vague, but how long does a solution like this take to deploy? I'm going to make that broad. I'm going to say to Stefan and Andrew, whoever wishes to answer, we'll see, how long does a solution like this take to deploy?
So it really just depends on the current state of your parts data and your images, right? So normally between 3 to 6 months, including the consultant effort.
Excellent. And then there was a second question in as well, Harry?
Yeah, and it's, what is the first step in a solution like this?
I'd say the first step is for us to get in there and do some consulting work to check out your content structure, take a look at your PLM to see if there's any APIs that we can leverage. We can recommend work on the content if it needs to be restructured, things of that nature.
Excellent. And with that in mind, Harry, if you want to just go to the contact slide, and what we would say is there's no better partner than JANA to really align with on a project of this nature. They've dealt with very complex projects for a whole number of years, and they've got really skilled staff that are going to be enabled to go and analyze that content nice and quickly. And if you need to make any quick changes to that content to make it suitable, they'll be able to identify what you need to do. So if this is of interest to any of the viewers today, then there are the contact details there for Melissa would actually be the person to get in touch with there. And yeah, from there, really, once they've analyzed your content, they'll be able to give you a very quick and accurate analysis of what it will take for you to get into a solution of this nature and to gain all the benefits. And again, you don't have to go all the way to integrating this with e-commerce. This could be, we have a number of clients that are just doing this for custom documentation, which represents a real challenge. You know, the images are moving, they've got this custom set of documentation. When the parts information gets updated, well, how do you align that? At the minute, that's a very manual process, and that alone can be very painful. But if you do actually have a parts ordering requirement, then this is very straightforward. And you can align to multiple PLM systems, and you can also you can integrate with multiple e-commerce solutions. Shopify is just one of the solutions that we can integrate into, again, because we've got that nice structure, but we're really pulling this unstructured data into a single environment and then enabling it to be pushed out in a structured way for parts ordering through your e-commerce. So it's a lovely middleware piece where you don't have to change your current environment, either your e-commerce system or your PLM, to make this effective and work for yourself. With that being said, thank you so much, Stefan, for all of your work, and thank you, Harry, for hosting this and bringing those questions in. And we aim for this to be a rapid overview of our solution and a really quick insight into the solution. I think we've achieved that effectively. So thank you so much again, Stefan. Thank you, Harry. And if there are no other questions, we'll leave just an opportunity for any of the viewers to ask any further questions for the next few seconds. But if there aren't, then we'll wrap up. I don't know if there's been any further questions, Harry.
No, nothing in chat. Just again, appreciate the interactions, guys. And yeah, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thanks ever so much, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.